Hi, and welcome to um, Principles of Economics Macro online course. And we're going to talk about our Learning Objective 5, which is explaining how incentives affect people's behavior. There are different branches of economic theory, and the one I'm going to talk about today and kind of share with you when we talk about affecting people's behavior is there is a really big branch in economics called behavioral economics. And behavioral economics is basically looking at psychology and sociology and its impacts on economic environments. It's quite a fascinating area in economic studies. Okay, so why do people do what they do? And remember that we have said that the whole reason that people engage in activities because they want to maximize their utility. Utility is the want-satisfying power of a good or service. We also say that people will engage in activities as long as the benefit of that activity is greater than the cost. And again, that's an opportunity cost that we have talked about in previous objectives. So when we take a look at this, people respond to incentives, and many times suppliers, okay, or businesses will give some types of incentives to increase the benefit. Buy now, 3 easy payments, these kinds of things. And so what happens is sellers will produce more of these products and services and be able to sell them more readily and more available. So again, what's our public policy towards incentives? Sometimes it will lead to distortion. I often talk about the difference in economics between a want versus a need. Now, what do we need? We need food, clothing, and shelter. Everything else is a want. And so again, that kind of changes the opportunity cost of things when we think about it in that particular methodology. Because we have wants and needs, and remember our resources, we're still dealing with scarcity. So money is a scarce resource, and we have to take a look at those wants versus needs and ensure that needs really are needs. This is where many marketers will perhaps manipulate what people want and make them think that it's something that they actually need. There's a great study which was done, and I love this because it kind of really highlights behavioral economics. And this is just basic summary of it. And again, the right, and we even call it the incentive program, right, can drive consumers to a brand, make them feel like they're valuable, convert them into loyalists to the product and advocates. And it's fascinating. And this is just the summary. If you want to read the entire study, you can click over here and it will take you to the study, which talks about how we have some manipulation perhaps. But consumers feeling towards incentive programs. Notice personalization, these things are intrinsic. And so they really kind of go towards the opportunity cost and lessening that opportunity cost to buy. Again, attitudes, behavior, preferences. This is when we talk about things like how does a product make you feel, okay? All right. And again, demographic, psychographic, and all of these things is gathering for producers, is gathering data and then disseminating that data to ensure that we have the right incentives for the right people. This is just a small study that was done by Peltzman in 1975, and it was based upon the seatbelt laws and some of these kinds of things. One of the things that we see is when we mandate usage of something, in this case a seatbelt, we get some unintended consequences, and we're going to talk about that in an upcoming principle. But one of the other unintended consequences that we had from seatbelt laws is, yes, it does reduce the likelihood of injury or death, But here's the thing, people may drive less carefully, and they do. We call this in economics a moral hazard. And we also talk a little bit about the idea of bailing things out. If banks know that they're going to be bailed out by the government, do they have an incentive to really think about costs and benefits and all of those things in their business decisions? Or can they fall back on a safety net, i.e. government bailouts? So it's really kind of interesting when you take a look at, sometimes we try to do the right thing in government, but we have some unintended consequences. And those unintended consequences could be, for example, in economics, we talk about moral hazard. Okay, I think that does it for this particular learning objective. And we're going to go ahead into our next learning objectives, learning objective 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It sounds like a lot, but some of them are relatively short, some are a little bit longer. Some pertain a little bit more to microeconomics than macroeconomics. So until next time, we'll see you.